Yes, Danoli was a really good horse. He was actually bred just up the road from my house now, and I knew the breeders very well. But yeah, look, he was a very good horse. And I was lucky to get on him. Tom Foley was training him, and they asked me to ride him one day, so I got on him, and yeah, he was just a very good horse, and I really did think he'd win the Sun Alliance Hurdle that year. I do remember hearing the crowd at the top of the hill once when I was riding Danoli. It was only when I saw the replay, the commentator said Danoli has hit the front of the top of the hill. So obviously the crowd roared because he was the Irish banker that year, and yeah, it was the first time I really heard it when I was on a fancied horse and I was in front. So you don't usually hear the crowd unless you're riding a no-hoper and you're out the back.
Music. Danoli hit the front at that flight, and it's Danoli from What a Question. There's a great roar from the crowd as the course commentator announced Danoli having hit the front.
Yeah, when you're in front in Cheltenham and you feel a horse coming to you, obviously you're worried that he's going to go past you, but you sort of know how much you have in the tank. You know, underneath the bonnet, kind of you sort of get a feel of a horse, how well you're going, and when a horse gets to you, sometimes you're riding a horse like Danoli or something, a horse like that they'd often be saving a little bit, so when the horse would come to you, he'd pick up again. So, yeah, you do hear the horses coming. You do feel some horses pick up, and some horses can do the opposite. When the horse goes upside them, they can curl up a little bit and slow down. He was one of the Irish big bankers of the meeting, and it was great relief when you go by the line when you're riding one of those fancied horses. When you go by the line, it's sort of more relief than you kind of try to enjoy it after, but it is relief when you go by that line in front. Urubande, I think, was 1996. It was my first winter for Aidan at the Cheltenham Festival. Yeah, he too was a very good horse. He had a few little quirks about him. Actually, if you see the video, going down to the second last, he went to run out. He went to run out with me. But he was a very good horse. He was probably better. He wouldn't like the ground too heavy, but most of those spring festivals are always on niceish ground, so it sort of suited him. And I remember I told Aidan to enter him for the Martel Hurdle in Aintree, because I think this was before Cheltenham even, because I thought he'd win in Cheltenham and he'd have a good chance of winning in Aintree, and he did. No, he was a proper horse. He was a really good horse.
Urubande has it. Karsh is trying to come out here with the black colours and finishing Festival is going forward, but Urubande's going to take it. Urubande going forward. Karsh the 1-2-3. Back in 4 came Jack Tanner. Then Buckhouse Boy, Strong Promise, Buttercup Joe.
Yeah, in '97, then Istabraq came along. The first day I ever rode him, I rode him in the Curragh. Aidan brought him up to school, and from the first day I schooled him, he was just he loved jumping, and he'd never bat an eyelid. He wouldn't go to run out. He just loved jumping, but he had great technique. I think that's why he was as good as he was, because his jumping was so good. Like obviously he had to have a lot of ability as well, but his jumping really played into his all his wins. You know, he was a very good jumper. He did fall twice, but good jumpers, when they miss, they'd take a right fall. He was lucky not to get killed, but he fell twice in his career. But I remember that day in the Sun Alliance, he was a little bit hot going to the start. So I was going to ride him handy, so I went to plan B. I dropped him in a good bit.
But at this stage, still plumb last is the red-hot favourite Istabraq, and a lot of ground to make up. He's giving the leaders at this stage 20-length start as they swing left-handed and race away down.
Yeah, that was a good thing about riding for JP, and and Aiden, they didn't mind if you changed plan. Once you used your head. So I dropped him in, and he settled well then in the race, and probably got there a bit sooner than I should have. I arrived upsides at the second last. I probably should have sat a bit longer, and he got a very hard race. It was the only time I ever hit Istabraq at Cheltenham was in the Sun Alliance. Um, But yeah, no, it was a great win, but he could have won a lot easier. I just think I went a bit soon on it.
Take Mighty Moss and Daraydan, and here on the outside Forest Ivory, but the cheers are up for the Irish horse, and that's Istabraq, but it's going to be a battle on his hands if he's to win. This is the last. It's Istabraq who lights the field now, and it's Istabraq going on to Mighty Moss, the far side. Daraydan is putting in another renewed challenge, but it's the red hot favourite Istabraq battling up the field, but coming back at him is Mighty Moss and also Daraydan. It's going to be very close, but Istabraq is going to take it at the line. Istabraq wins for Ireland. Charlie Swan knows it. Mighty Moss